Hello everyone, today in this video I am going to deal with the 6th chapter of class 10th of first flight. The chapter is the 100 dresses second. The 100 dresses first we have already done, which is chapter number 5. In the first part, that is chapter number 5, we come to know that Wanda Petronsky, she was fed up and totally irritated with continuous nagging and teasing of her classmates, and therefore she had left the school. And her father has written now a letter to the school informing that Weiss is not going to attend the school anymore. Now let's move to the text. Let's see what happened in this part. While the class was circling the room, the monitor from the principal office brought Miss Mason a note. Miss Mason read it several times and studied it thoroughly for a while. Then she clapped her hand. Attention class, everyone back to their seat. When the shuffling of feet had stopped and room was still quiet, Miss Mason said, I had a letter from Wenda's father that I want to read to you. Miss Mason stood there a moment and the silence in the room grew tense and expectant. The teacher adjusted her glasses slowly and deliberately. Her manner indicated that what was coming. This letter from Wenda's father was a matter of great importance. Everybody listened closely as Miss Mason read the brief note. So today in the class, this chapter opens with the student in the classroom as Miss Mason standing there in the classroom. While she was there in the classroom, the monitor of the class came with a note from principal office. So she took that note and she read that note several times, many times, and with a minute attention. She read it thoughtfully. It means she read it very seriously. And then after that she clapped her hand to get attention of the students, and then she asked the students to get back to their position, as it may be that it was the morning time when the student had come from their home only, and therefore they were roaming here and there in the classroom, and therefore she asked all the students to settle down fast, as she had received a letter from Wenda's father which she want to read it to the class. Then after that, her gesture and posture as well as her facial expression shows that there was something of importance, something of great importance in that letter. She was silent, she was serious, and therefore the students could guess that there was something of importance written in that letter. Dear teacher, my Wanda will not come to your school anymore. Jack also. Now we move away to big city. No more holler Polak. No more ask why funny names. Plenty of funny names in big cities. Yours truly, Jan Petronsky. So you can see that the letter is very brief. In the letter he had just mentioned that his child Wanda and Jake is not going to attend that school anymore because they are fed up with those bullies, those teasing, and for what it was being done? It was being done for their name, as their name sounds strange, therefore they were continuously being teased by the other classmates of her classroom. And the here holler it means a loud shout. So everyone used to teach them, and therefore his father has written that now they are planning to shift to other city, the big city where there is no such problem. Why there is no such problem? Because there are number of students with from different region having different names, strange names, and therefore she will not face any problem. A deep silence made the reading of this letter. Miss Mason took off her glasses, blew on them, and wiped them on her soft white handkerchief. Then she put them on again and looked at the class. When she spoke, her voice was very low. I am sure that none of the boys and girls in the room 13 would purposely and deliberately hurt anyone's feeling because his or her name happened to be long unfamiliar one. I think that what was said in thoughtlessness. I know that all of you feel the way I do. That is that this is very unfortunate thing to have happened, unfortunate and sad both, and I want you all to think about it. So after reading that letter, Miss Mason, Miss Manson, Miss Mason, she has become quite serious and she found this incident very unfortunate and sad. And therefore she said to the class that I think that whosoever has teased, has bullied that girl, I believe that you have not done it intentionally or purposely with certain intention to hurt her. And if it was done, then I think that it was done by mistake, it was done unknowingly. So the whole class was silent. Even she was touched. Miss Mason was even touched by this incident. She was very sad and she was very gloomy to hear about this type of incident. The first period was a study period. Maddie tried to prepare her lessons, but she could not put her mind on her work. She had a very sick feeling in the bottom of her stomach. True, she had not enjoyed listening to Peggy ask Wanda how many dresses she had in her closet, but she had said nothing. She had stood by silently, and that was just as bad as what Peggy had done. Worse, she was a coward. At last, Peggy had not considered they were being mean, but she, Maddie, had thought they were doing wrong. She could put herself in Wanda's shoes. So now, Maddie, they were sitting in the class, and it was their first period, a study period. Maddie was trying to concentrate on her study, but she was not able to concentrate because that letter and the result which was there, that Wanda is not going to continue that school only because of their bullying and teasing. She has left not only the school, she has left the town. That kept ringing in her heart and mind, and it made her uncomfortable because even she was in the group of those girls who has teased Wanda continuously. She says that although she had never said a single word to Wanda, but her fault was that she used to stand there, she used to hear it, she used to witness it, and she never resisted against it, she never went against it, she never asked them to stop teasing her. And she found herself more mistaken. She found herself to be blamed more than Peggy. Why it is so? Why she says so? Because she say that Peggy did not realize that what she was doing, but Maddie had a realization that she was hurting. They were hurting her. They were teasing her. And once you have realized that if you are doing a wrong, and even then if you are doing, then it is not something which is being done unknowingly, but it is something which is being done knowingly and intentionally, and therefore she was not able to calm herself, and she was continuously thinking about Wanda only. Goodness, wasn't there anything she could do? If only she could tell Wanda she hadn't meant to hurt her feeling. She turned around and stole a glance at Peggy, but Peggy did not look up. She seemed to be studying hard. Well, whether Peggy felt bad or not, she, Maddie, had to do something. So now she was feeling bad There was a sense of guilt in her heart, and therefore she felt that she will have to do something. She will definitely do something, and in order to do so, she looked at her best friend, at the face of her best friend who was Peggy, but she found her lost in her work, in her study. But she thought that whether Peggy is going to do anything or not, but she will herself do something to mend the thing, to make Wanda feel better, or she will go to her and she will say sorry to her. She had to find Wanda Petronsky. Maybe she had not yet moved away. Maybe Peggy would climb the heights with her and they would tell Wanda she had won the contest, that they thought she was smart and the 100 races were beautiful. So now it was coming continuously to her mind that now when she has realized, earlier she had not geared up, she has not learned enough courage to go against Peggy, but now once she has realized and when she has faced the consequences of that bullying and teasing, then she has realized her mistake, and then now she want to make it up, and therefore now she is thinking that she will go to Boggin's side, and if the family would not have left the town, then definitely she is going to say sorry to her, and she will ask her not to move, and she will inform her about the result of that contest, that drawing competition, and she will narrate her that all her dresses, all her paintings were very beautiful. When school was dismissed in afternoon, Peggy said with pretended casualness, "Hey, let's go and see if that kid has left town or not." So Peggy had had the same idea. Maddie glowed. Peg was really alright. So now what happened? When school dispersed during afternoon, at that time, Peggy told to Maddie that we should go and visit to Wanda Petronsky to see whether they have left the town or not. So when Maddie heard it, she glowed, she became happy because same thing was continuously ringing in her mind. So she grew happy when she heard it from the mouth of Peggy. The two girls hurried out of the building up the street toward Bogginside, the part of the town that wore such a forbidding air on this kind of a November afternoon, drizzly, damp and dismal. So as soon as they came out of the building of the school, they headed toward Bogginside, the area which was not generally visited by people, particularly at this time of year, that is at the time of November, because during rain, it was raining at that time. Drizzly here refers to slight rain. So, and during rain, that area becomes muddy and it becomes quite difficult to go that area. "Well, at least," said Peggy gruffly, "I never did call her a foreigner or make fun of her name. I never thought she had the sense to know we are making fun of her anyway. I thought she was too dumb, and gee, look how she can draw." So while they were going there, Peggy shared her thought, whatever she used to think about her. Now she had a very low thinking about her. She says that she found her very dumb. She thought that she is a dull child. She don't have enough understanding, and she thought that she would not be able to understand that we were teasing her, we were trying to bull her. And then she says that now she has realized that no, she was not dumb, she was not dull, but she was quite smart enough, she was intelligent after she saw her drawing and the paintings, the 100 races which she has painted for the contest. Maddie could say nothing. All she hoped was that they would find Wanda. She wanted to tell her that they were sorry they had picked on her, and how wonderful the whole school thought she was, and please not to move away and everybody would be nice. She and Peggy would fight anybody who was not nice. So Maddie, she was grief stricken. She was very much sorry about what she has done, and therefore she did not say a single word. But in her mind, a number of thoughts was coming up, a number of things was going on, and she was really feeling sorry. So she just wished that she would be able to meet Venda, or she was wishing that she would not have left the town yet, and so that she could say sorry to her, as they have targeted her, they have teased her a lot, and then she says that definitely they are going to make a promise that now onwards we are not going to tease you, and definitely if someone else is going to tease you, then definitely we are going to fight to that students. And one more thing they want to say to her, that is, please don't go away, don't go from this town, don't go away from our school, be in our school only, be here in this town only. We would be very nice to you and even not let anyone be rough to you. The two girls hurried on. They hoped to get the top of the hill before dark. I think that's where Petronskis live, said Maddie, pointing to a little white house, wisp of old grass stuck up here and there along the path like thin kittens. The house and its sparse little yard looked shabby but clean. It reminded Maddie of Venda's one dress, her faded blue cotton dress, shabby but clean. So finally they reached Boggin's height, and finally they were able to find house of Venda Petronsky. So the house was not so good, it was not well built, it was a little house, white in color, it was shabby, not looking good, but it was clean. The house had a small yard, as it was low area, and wisp of old grass is being said. Wisp here refers to the bunch of glass. The bunch of grasses was struck all over the building here and there. So the building was not up to mark, it was not good, it was in not a good condition. But although it was shabby, it was not looking good, but it was quite clean. So when they saw the house of Venda, they got reminded of her one of the dress which she used to wear all the time, that is the blue cotton dress. There was not a sign of life about the house. Peggy knocked firmly on the door, but there was no answer. She and Maddie went around the backyard and knocked there. Still there was no answer. So when they reached there, they knocked at the front door of the house, they knocked at the back door of the house, they went to the backyard, they knocked even there, but there was no answer. It means, and it seems that no one was living there in the house. It seems that no one was there in the house. It means the house was all alone. There was no doubt about it, the Petronskis were gone. So, as there was no response from that house, the house was locked, no one came to the door. So, there was no doubt that definitely they have left the town. How could they ever make amends? So, now the thing is, whatever they have done, whatever mistake they have done, now how they will be able to make it up. They turned slowly and made their way back down the hill. Well, anyway, said Peggy, she's gone now, so what can we do? Besides, when I was asking her about all her dresses, she probably was getting good ideas for her drawings. She might not even have won the contest otherwise. So now you can see Maddie is silent. She is quiet. She is not giving any comment. But time and again, Peggy is giving some comment. So what does it show? It shows that even she is feeling guilty. And therefore, in order to make the thing good, she is just pretending and she is just trying to blur her emotion out. And then here, whilst they were returning back, at that time, Peggy says that I think that at the time when we asked question to that girl about her dress, and while she was replying to us at that time only, she used to frame up idea about all those drawings, all those dresses which she had painted for the contest, and this is why she has won the contest. So here we see that girl Wanda Petronsky, instead of taking that teasing and bullying in a negative manner, she had taken it in a positive manner, and she has very skillfully taken benefit out of it, and she had won the contest, and she has proved herself that she was the best among all of those. Maddie turned this idea carefully over in her head, for if there was anything in it, she could not have to feel so badly. But that night she could not get to sleep. She thought about Wanda and her faded blue dress and the little house she had lived in. And she thought of the glowing picture those 100 dresses made, all lined up in the classroom. At last, Maddie sat up in bed and pressed her forehead tight in her hands and really thought this was the hardest thinking she had ever done. After a long time, she reached an important conclusion. So, Maddie, that night she was not able to sleep. Her conscience was not allowing her to sleep. Continuously those things was ringing up in her mind. Those things related to Wanda, her dress, her house, her paintings, how they used to tease her, all those things were coming up in her mind. And therefore she was not able to sleep. She was just trying to think that what can be done so that the things will become better, so that the things which she had done will can be mended. So she was trying to find out any way so that some things can be done, so that whatever a sense of guilt was there in her heart, she could get rid of that. She could say her sorry, and as she has left the town, she was left with no option, and therefore she was trying to find some idea, some method by which she can say sorry to her. And finally, that night, as she was not able to sleep, she was thinking continuously, and finally she come up with an idea. So now let's see what idea came up to her mind. She was not going to stand by and say nothing again. So she promised to herself that in the coming days in future, she is never going to repeat that again. What? She has not teased Wanda. The only thing which she has committed it, she has a realization that they were teasing Amanda, they were bullying her, and again at the same time she had a realization that how she felt when she was being teased. But instead of stopping all those students from teasing her, she used to stand quiet listening to all those things. So this was her mistake, and therefore she realized that from now onwards, now in the coming days, she is never going to repeat that. She is going to resist it. She is going to raise voice against it if anyone would be doing same with anyone else. If she ever heard anyone picking on someone because they are funny looking or because they had strange names, she would speak up, even if it means losing Peggy's friendship. She had no way of making things right with Wanda, but from now on, she would never make anybody else that unhappy again. So, this girl has a self-realization. She was introspecting herself. She was looking within herself that what mistakes she had done and how that can be mended, and what she can do in coming days in future so that no other people can be hurt again by the same activity. So she said that from now onwards, in the coming days, she is not going to stand. She is not going to show her support for these types of things. She will definitely resist it. She will raise voice against it. She will speak against it. And it may be that whatever consequences she will have to face for that, she is ready to face. She is even ready to stake her friendship with Peggy as well. In the first part of this chapter we have seen, that is in the 5th number chapter, we have seen that she even felt that they are not doing good to Wanda, and for that she had already started writing a letter, a note to Peggy, but out of fear that it may be that she will become the next target of Peggy, or it may be that Peggy will break her friendship with her, and therefore she did not gear up enough courage to give that note to her. But now she has decided that in future she will not repeat it again, she will speak against it, whosoever it may be. On Saturday, Maddie spent the afternoon with Peggy. They were writing a letter to Wanda Petronsky. It was just a friendly letter telling about the contest and telling Wanda she had won. They told her how pretty her drawings were, and they asked her if she liked where she was living and if she liked her new teacher. They had meant to say they were sorry, but it ended up with their just writing a friendly letter, the kind they would have written in any good friend, and they signed it with lots of acts of love for love. They mailed the letter to Bogenside, writing please forward on the envelope. So on the following Saturday in afternoon, Maddie and Peggy, both of them, wrote a letter. The intention of writing the letter was to say sorry to her, but they were not able to. They were feeling so much remorseful, and they had a sense of guilt in their heart, and therefore they don't have enough courage to say sorry to her because they have harmed her a lot, and therefore the letter ended up in a friendly tone. They wrote about the result of that contest. They wrote about the drawings, about her paintings, and they asked her where she was living, whether that place was nice or not, and they asked her about her new teacher. So, and at end, they gave a lot of acts to show their love for her. And on the envelope, they wrote, please forward, because they were sending that letters to Bogenside. They already knew that she had left that place. They have shifted to new town, but even then, the letter was written to same address and with a note that please forward it, because they don't know their new address, and therefore they wrote please forward. So now that hostility against Wanda is turning into friendship. Earlier they were hostile, Maddie and Peggy and the other children were hostile. They used to hate her, they used to tease her, but now you can see over here that now they are trying to be friendly with her. Days passed and there was no answer, but the letter did not come back. So maybe Wanda had received it, perhaps she was so hurt and angry she was not going to answer. You could not blame her. So many days passed, but there was no reply, and neither even that letter returned back. So usually what happens, if a letter is not received, if the address is incorrect, then the letter usually return back to the sender. But it did not return back, it did not come back. Therefore they felt that it might have been received by Wanda, but as there was no reply, they thought that it may be she was still angry with her, and she had all reason to get angry with her. She was not to be blamed for that. Even they are Peggy and Maddie and the other classmates was to be blamed for that, and she had all right to be angry and hurt because they had harmed her a lot. Weeks went by and still Wenda did not answer. Peggy had begun to forget the whole business, and Maddie put herself to sleep at night, making speeches about Wenda, defending her from great crowds of girls who were trying to tease her with how many dresses have you got, and before Wanda could press her lips tight in a tight line the way she did before answering, Maddie would cry out, "Stop!" Then everybody would feel ashamed the way she used to feel. So Peggy had forgotten about all these things. As days passed, Peggy forgot it. But Wanda, she was not able to forget all these things. Because perhaps she was also poor. She had a realization. In the first part, in the 5th chapter, it is given that she was herself a poor, and even she used to wear the hand-down clothes of Peggy, and that's why perhaps she had realization that how it felt. So while sleeping at night, while she used to go in bed, she used to speak to herself, pretending herself to be in the same situation, the scenario where they used to tease Wenda. So she used to imagine, and as soon as she was speaking to herself, so she herself used to ask a question that how many dresses have you got, and as Wenda used to do, she used to tighten her lips before answering the question of the girls who used to ask her, and then she used to reply. So before she would reply, she was enacting all these things when she was all alone. She used to cry, she used to shout, "Stop it!" Then everybody would feel ashamed the way she used to feel. So she had made a promise to herself that she is not going to accept all those things anymore. And therefore she was encouraging herself to stop those activities, that type of things, and therefore she used to imagine that situation and she used to enact it every night. Now it was Christmas time and there was snow on the ground. Christmas bell and a small tree decorated the classroom. On the last day of school before the holidays, the teacher showed the class a letter that had received that morning. You remember Wanda Petronsky, the gifted little artist who won the drawing contest? Well, she had written me and I am glad to know where she lives because now I can send her medal. I want to read her letter to you. So now it was Christmas time. It was the last day of the school before the school breaks, before the holiday, and that day the class Miss Mason, her teacher, had received a letter from Wanda Petronsky. The class was whole decorated as the Christmas was going to arrive. Therefore, the classroom was decorated with trees, small trees and bells, and on that day, the teacher announced that she has received a letter from Wanda Petronsky and she says that she is very happy to receive her letter because now she have her address and now she could send her medal which was lying with the teacher, the medal of that contest in which she had submitted 100 dresses. And she said that now I want to read that letter to you all. The class sat up with a sudden interest and listened intently. So now all sat up silently and they all were eagerly waiting for what was there in that letter. How are you and room 13? Dear Miss Mason, how are you and room 13? Please tell the girls they can keep those 100 dresses because in my new house I have 100 new ones all lined up in my closet. I would like that girl Peggy to have the drawing of green dress with red trimming and her friend Maddie to have the blue one. For Christmas I missed at school and my new teacher does not equalize with you. Merry Christmas to you and everybody. Yours truly, Wanda Petronsky. So now she had asked about the teacher and all the students of room number 13 and she said that she had asked her teacher to gift all those 100 paintings, all those 100 dresses to the students of room number 13, and particularly she had mentioned two dresses, one for Peggy and another for Maddie. So the green dress with red trimming, she had asked her teacher to give this dress to Peggy, and the another one, that was the blue one, she had asked her to give the blue dress to Maddie. And then she said that she missed her school and her classmates, and then she said that her new teacher is good, but they are not as good as Miss Mason. And she wished Merry Christmas to everyone and to her teacher. On the way home from school, Maddie and Peggy held their drawing very carefully. All the houses had wreaths and holly in the window. Outside the grocery stores, hundreds of Christmas trees were stacked, and in the window, candy, peppermint sticks, and cornucopias of shiny transparent paper were strung. The air smelled like Christmas, and lights shining everywhere reflected different colors on the snow. So, it's the time of winter, therefore snow is all around, and it was Christmas time, and therefore the whole town, the whole road, all shops, all houses were decorated. There was light and different materials were used to decorate the street. Different things were being sold out at different shops, at grocery shops. Hundred of Christmas tree was stacked there, and different materials which is used for decoration during Christmas, that was being sold in the street. Boy, said Peggy, this shows she really likes us. It shows she got our letter, and this is her way of saying that everything's alright. And that's that, I hope so, said Maddie sadly. She felt sad because she knew she would never see the little tight-lipped Polish girl again, and could not ever really make things right between them. So now the thing is, while they were returning back to their home, Peggy said that I think she had received our letter and she really liked us, and this is her way to say that now everything is fine, I have forgiven you all. Then Maddie replied, I hope so. And she was sad because she knew that she is never going to meet that girl again, and she would not be able to make the things right again, because the girl has shifted to new town. She went home and she pinned her drawing over a torn place in the pink flowered wallpaper in the bedroom. The shabby room came alive with the brilliancy of the colors. Maddie sat down on her bed and looked at the drawing. She had stood by and said nothing, but Wanda had been nice to her anyway. So she went to her room, Maddie went to her room, and she pinned it. She pinned it on the wall, the drawing which was gifted to her by Wanda. She pinned it on the wall, and with the vibrant color of that painting, that room became alive. It looked lively. So now she sat on her bed and she was again lost in the thought of Wanda only. She was continuously looking at the drawing which was gifted to her by Wanda. Tears blurred her eyes and she gazed for a long time at the picture. Then hastily she rubbed her eyes and studied it intently. The color in the dress was so vivid that she had scarcely noticed the face and head of drawing. But it looked like her, Maddie. It really looked like her own mouth. Why, it really looked like her own self. Wanda had really drawn this for her. Excitedly she ran over to Peggy's. So while she was sitting on her bed, tears was in her eye, she was continuously weeping and crying. She was really feeling hurt and bad for Wanda. And while she was sitting there, she was continuously looking at the painting which was given to her by Wanda. And then she finally noticed that among those color of that painting, she noticed that her face was hidden in it. Maddie's face was hidden in it, and when she saw it, she cleaned her eyes, she rubbed her eyes, and she saw it minutely, and then she found that yes, it was her face only, and then she realized that that painting was really made for Maddie only. And then she ran to Peggy's, it means she ran to meet Peggy. Peg, she said, let me see your picture. What's the matter? Asked Peggy as they clattered up to the room where Wenda's drawing was lying face down on the bed. Maddie carefully raised it. Look, she drew you. That's you, she exclaimed, and the head and the face of this picture did look like Peggy. So when she reached Peggy's house, they hurried up to the room where the picture was lying on her bed, and she found when Maddie looked at the picture which was gifted to Peggy, she looked at even Peggy's face was there in the picture which was gifted to her. And then she showed it to Peggy that she has drawn your face in this painting. What did I say? Said Peggy. She must have really liked us anyway. Yes, she must have, agreed Maddie, and she blinked away the tears that came every time she thought of Wenda standing alone in that sunny spot in the schoolyard, looking stolidly over that group of laughing girls after she had walked off, after she had said, show 100 of them all lined up. So, after that, when she saw the painting of Peggy in the painting which was gifted to her, she said that I told you that she used to like us. And then again, Maddie's eyes was full with tears. So as soon as she get reminded of Wanda, her eyes used to full with tears. Eyes used to full with tears. So she get reminded of Wanda, of the situation where she was surrounded by number of girls, number of students of her school, and she was being continuously teased and taunted by all the students, and that same question used to ring up in her mind, and she get reminded of the answer which she used to give. This is all about this chapter. So in this chapter we saw that how a small mistake of these girls forced Wenda to leave that city. So we should never do this type of things with anyone. We should never judge a person by his outward appearance. Instead, we should look for the knowledge and the skill which the person possesses. And one more thing, that is the lesson which Maddie had learned. Even we should learn these things, that we should never stand the wrong. We should raise voice against the wrong thing which is being done to anyone. This is all about this chapter. Thank you for watching it.